Hi, my name is Dan, and this is my wife Nicole, and we are here to explain to you what our ministry is about, entitled I Hate Purity Conferences. Most people might be looking at that going, why do you hate purity conferences? So we're using this video to really explain why we hate purity conferences. And it started a few years ago when Nicole came to me and started talking about writing a book on purity and having purity conferences, and I can't stand purity conferences. And she started talking to me, she's like, why do you hate purity conferences? And I was like, because they're lame. First and foremost, they're just lame. Almost every purity conference that I've been to is pretty much dumb. And I'm not saying that they don't love Jesus, and I don't want to make any claims like that, but what I'm saying is they're done really lame. And not only that, but every time I go to one, I always see basically legalism. How far is too far? Here, wear this ring and you'll be pure. Everything, filling out commitment cards, all this other stuff. Listen, you can do all those things and that's great, but that doesn't define purity. That is not what purity is about. Purity is simply a right relationship with Jesus. And so when I started sharing that with Nicole, she was really like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm saying. I just wasn't saying it. So she had a totally different perspective of purity and where it came from in her life because she had a whole different experience growing up.
Yes. Because when I was growing up, I actually loved purity conferences. I went to every single one that came out during junior high and high school. I read every single book on dating and purity that was ever printed during those years, and I did everything that they told me to do. I followed every step because I wanted to get married, and that was my goal, and I wanted to have a husband. And so I figured, well, this is what I need to do in order to find my husband. So I wrote out the list of qualities that I wanted, and I was told never to settle for anything less than what was on that list. I went under construction for 6 months and kissing, dating goodbye. I did so many things that I was told. I wore the purity ring. I signed the commitment card, and I wanted to commit my life to purity. So I said, well, this is obviously what I need to do. And what I found later in life is none of those things worked. They weren't the things that kept me pure. That it was only the work that Jesus has done in my life that has kept me pure, and it wasn't anything that I learned at the purity conferences of the legalistic or the steps of what to do. None of those things had any effect. It was only by the blood of Jesus, because my flesh is weak, and during junior high and high school I was more boy crazy than all of my friends put together, and so it wasn't these steps that kept me from it. It was only my commitment to surrendering to the Lord every day on a daily basis and saying, God, I want you to work in me and I want you to do the work. And oh my gosh, he did. He did the work in me. And Jesus, when he died for us, he covered us with his blood and he sees us as pure. And that is the definition of purity, is that he sees us as pure, and we just need to submit our lives to him and surrender to him and give him our all and live for him every day. And so now I can come back and say, you know what, I don't really like purity conferences and I hate them the way that they're done, because we need more of Jesus. We need to be proclaiming him and teaching kids that you need to surrender your life to Jesus and follow him and his ways and allow him to do the work, and he will never let us down. And he does work in a way that is so much more amazing than we could ever imagine.
And so what we've decided to do is basically have Jesus conferences with purity as the subject, and understanding that it's not about having a purity conference or anything like that.
Yeah.
The Bible tells us that our righteousness is as filthy rags. So anything that you try to do, that your efforts and your just gusto, what you've mustered up to try to do something for Jesus, it's nothing. Jesus wants you to be surrendered. He wants your heart. He wants your life. That will produce purity, and that's what we're all about. So understand that we don't hate purity. We just hate purity conferences. And when you check out our website, which is really cool, IHatePurityConferences.com, you're going to see purity conferences don't have to be lame.